Oh, okay. All right, we should be going. Everybody ready? Rich? Ready, Rich? I'd like to welcome everyone to London City Council meeting. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, take our roll call here. Mr. Eads?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Hayes?
Present.
Mr. Hitt? Here. All right, and Mr. Stahl?
Present.
And has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes from our last meeting? All right, you have any changes, corrections, additions? All right, all in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, and before we begin here, because if you notice, we do have a vacant spot in our city council section there. Mr. Smith is no longer with us, so we will need to change the council rules. We'll have to make some adjustments here, and everyone's taken a look. We've taken our poll numbers out, and we've put in percentages in all of the places where we'll need to suspend and have votes made. So the majority of those are 3/4. We have 90% of council can vote to change any part of the rules temporarily during the meeting. We've also added here that the council president can edit the rules at the beginning of their term, and then we're going to add, or when council president deems a change is necessary, such as now. We did not anticipate losing a council person, so we will need to adjust these so that way it can accommodate no matter what number of council people we do have seated. So has everyone had a chance to take a look at those requested changes? All right, and all in favor of approving those changes, say aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. All right, thank you all. All right, and we do not have any communications or announcements this evening. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we left the agenda similar to what it was last time. Would you want to go now or later? Yeah, because it's still the same way it was on the last one. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let's see here. Let's go on to let's do city official reports, similar to last time.
All righty. Good evening. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. I do want to start off by apologizing because I will not be at the next city council meeting. My son will be performing at St. Patrick's School's Christmas concert. As always, if you guys have any questions about anything, please let me know and we can talk before the next meeting. I do want to thank Councilman Hayes and Robinson for attending youth basketball practice and talking to the parents about the proposed gym and current leagues. If you've not been able to attend a practice and would like to, they will also be held next week. Practices will be Monday the 5th through Thursday the 8th from 5:30 to 8:30. And I also encourage you all to get out in the community and speak to a greater demographic if you haven't been able to yet. I have received some emails about the proposed gym, and they have asked me to read them and enter them into the record and the meeting minutes. Before I do that, I would like to propose a question to all the members of City Council. I do not need an answer to the question right now, but I do ask that you give it some thought and get back with me with your thoughts. If we continue on with tearing down the gym and you guys decide not to build a new gym, what would you like the administration to do with our youth sports programs? How, if we do it, what are your guys' thoughts? I'd love to hear just what you guys are maybe thinking. I haven't heard from anyone about that. I would ask that you send me an email if you guys could, if you have thoughts by the end of next week, so we can start brainstorming. And so now I will go through and read the emails. And there's a couple, so bear with me. As a middle-aged London lifer, some of my earliest memories are playing in the basketball leagues and the different programs that require a gym, including the late-night programs. London probably needs more gym space with the population growth we've had through the years, not less. Scheduling leagues currently is a nightmare for the generous souls that donate their time to run leagues. To lose the only gym available would obviously remove all ability for London to host a winter program locally. There has been a lot of growth in the past few years, with many larger taxpayers relocating here. I would think a community with full amenities is part of that decision process. To take away such a large amenity, especially related to children, and force locals to go elsewhere, I definitely think makes London less attractive. We are a community and should support each other and strive to always make our community better. Number one should always be our children. You can't tell me honestly, you can't tell me anyone honestly thinks London would be better without a community gym. Sincerely, Bryce Hamilton. The next one. To whom it may concern, over the last few years, my family has had a wonderful experience, not only educationally and athletically, but also the ability to have excellent leadership from coaches who are, as I've noticed, very active and respected in the community and the London Community Center. As outsiders of the community looking in, the programs you have had openly allowed my children numerous opportunities to meet new friends, develop relationships, and learn athletics. I hope you understand that you are not only looking to invest money-wise, which I understand, but also invest in our youth of the community, to which you will see a lasting effect through them being citizens in your community, giving back later. We have supported the community center, giving in ways of buying extra tickets for the game, helping with the score table, and now my husband chose to be a coach this year to give back. And when COVID hit, the community center found a way to give children in our community a safe place to resume normalcy, and we are as grateful for that as all the years in the past and future. Again, as someone not in your community, but a neighboring one, and my children only having one more year to even benefit from the center before his school-age sports starts, you really have a gym in your community. I don't know if you understand the lasting importance it would be, or devastation once it'll be gone. J. Lynn Call. Next, City Council members. My children and I are new to the London Recreational Sports Program. We came to London as other areas which may have been closer to us did not offer varsity or a variety of athletics at the age levels that London does. We homeschool our children, so finding programs that are local and accommodating are very important to us. My kids love sports and are so thankful for the opportunity to participate in London programs. There are several other families from our area that also utilize London's recreational sports program. Having a gymnasium is obviously the most important part of being able to continue the program effectively. There are so many wonderful volunteers, children, and family that would be negatively affected by not having an adequate space for these programs. My family and I strongly urge council to continue with building a gymnasium following the demolition of the current community center. Our town and our kids are counting on it. Thank you, the Nybert family. Next, I, as well as other parents, had no idea the gym was being torn down. I can't believe city council would take this away from the kids. Some of these parents cannot afford to put their children in expensive programs that travel 2 to 4 hours from home. If the gym is torn down, where will the children practice or play volleyball, basketball, etc.? Or will they just be forgotten until they find some trouble to get into? These children need a warm gymnasium to practice and play games in, a place for parents to come and cheer them on, a place that has people who care and give up their time to coach them and get them ready for school sports. It's the one place in London that they can go to have fun, learn, and meet new friends and play with school ones. Please, please, keep your word and rebuild a new gymnasium for these kiddos. They are worth it. Show them that London cares about them. Sincerely, Tammy Hicks. Next. I will not be able to attend tonight's meeting. I am writing to inform you that I am against building the new gymnasium. I believe there are more pressing issues to spend $3 million on, such as water, streets, safety services. Thank you for your time. Zach Antle. Next. Hello. We are definitely in favor of a gym. This is the only league we have found that is not co-ed. Most of it is co-ed until fourth grade, and my girls love playing in a league of their own. Thank you, Wendy Moore. Next, dear Mayor Closser, I am unable to attend tonight's city council meeting. However, I feel strongly that council members need to follow up with a decision to invest in youth sports. To accept money to tear something down comes with the obligation to invest in the decision necessary to rebuild. London's children need to socialize, be active, receive organized physical education, exercise regularly, and learn to compete to be successful in life. It also seems absolutely ridiculous to not provide an opportunity for youth activities with all the new homes set to go up. Why would families want to move to an area and invest their income and lives in an area that does not have opportunities for their children? Not having a community center undermines the best opportunity for growth of our city. Thank you for your time and service, Juliet Wendler. Excuse me. Next, I will be at practice, so if you could talk to my thoughts, I'd appreciate it. I have been involved in sports since I was young. That involvement has made me who I am today. Youth sports helped me learn about teamwork, develop my listening skills, and taught me about leadership amongst so many others. Starting at a young age put me ahead of others in these areas as I grew up, and I still see the impact it has had in my career. Having a community center for practices, games, and well as outside, individual development is vital for this. London is a small community, and these kids need a safe place to go, especially in the winter months. I support and encourage a new community center to help our children build a foundation for their development. Thank you, Valerie Leemaster. Next. To London City Council, thank you for the opportunity to address council. My name is Stephanie Mack, and I live at 371 Landis Lane in London, Ohio. I'm not able to attend in person because I am next door at basketball practice. I've been a lifelong citizen of this community minus a few years for college. Growing up, I participated in Community Basketball League, and at the time, our games and practices were held at Deer Creek Elementary and on the top level of the Armory, now the Comer Building. At that time, the league was a lot smaller than it is today. My daughter is participating in her first year of the basketball league. I've not always been a big supporter of this community. I have always been a big, strong supporter of this community and have always supported initiatives that may not be directly impact myself or my family. I believe the City of London is capable of addressing multiple challenges around the town at the same time, and I'd argue that in recent times, the council is doing just that. I will be frank with you. I would love to eventually see a state-of-the-art community center complete with basketball courts, indoor swimming pool, workout equipment, and multi-purpose rooms. From what I witnessed with the current basketball program and the overcrowding with practices, if the city continues to grow, which it will, ready or not, participation will increase, and one day we actually might need more than one facility to house indoor sports leagues. In the meantime, I urge council to move forward with the current facility proposed. The main reason being that council already voted to accept a grant to tear down the community center, and tearing down the current facility with no real plan to move forward is alarming in my opinion. Community means a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Shouldn't we all share the goal of making London a better place for all? There is nothing around town to do in the dead of winter, but the sport leagues help kids keep kids active, engaged, and socialized, and I see potential in expanding these programs for both kids and adults throughout the year with a proper facility. I follow council meetings regularly as I believe it's important to stay engaged. I hear the same people each week arguing against it, and the reason being that there are other things that need to be addressed. They are passionate about those other challenges, and they have every right to be. I ask that, as neighbors, we support the addressing of all challenges within the community, because I do believe this council is capable of addressing and resolving multiple challenges at the same time. Thank you for your time, Stephanie Mack. To whom it may concern, my name is Ryan Love. I am from Mechanicsburg and have 3 boys. My oldest attends London, while my younger 2 attend Mechanicsburg. We have participated in youth basketball programs through London Parks and Recreation for 8 years, and I have coached for 5 of those. In the 8 years we have been involved, I have seen tremendous growth in the program in both numbers and logistics. We successfully navigated COVID and provided an outlet for youth to continue being kids during unprecedented times. I have enrolled my youngest two in the program because Mechanicsburg does not offer a program for children that young. I have also seen and coached kids from other communities which were in the same situation. I am a firm believer in the positive aspects of sports for our youth and the life goals that we learn through them, both from their coaches and competition. I tell every team I coach that we are going to learn something about the game, we are going to learn how to win and lose with grace, and most importantly, we're going to have some fun. I believe these are good building blocks for kids and things they may not learn at home. I also run the youth baseball program in Mechanicsburg and have seen the importance of youth programs here. Children need these types of programs and opportunities for both physical health and mental. I have coached so many kids and have been blessed to watch them grow and become good members of society. While change is inevitable, we cannot let the change set us back and be detrimental to the children of our community. It would be sad to see a city the size of London without a community center that is not only the youth but the community could benefit from. Such a center would benefit London more than just offering youth programs. It could give people a reason to come to London from other communities. Personally, my family and I have stopped at the restaurants in London after games and practices. We've also gone to the movies, groceries, and shops at times while being in London. These are all dollars that would most likely been spent somewhere else if we had not been in town. I would like to request that London City Council administration and council think long and hard about the opportunity you have to make a difference in both the community and the lives of the children that community is raising. You were each elected to be good stewards of the City of London, and now is your time to shine and make the right decision. Thank you for your time, Ryan Love. Dear London City Council, on behalf of myself, my family, and every child in London and the surrounding areas, I strongly support and ask that you support building a new gymnasium for youth recreational sports. A gym large enough to accommodate the community's current and future needs will be an invaluable asset and investment into the community for generations to come. Thank you for considering my support for approximately sized gym. Sincerely, Dustin McCoy. We're almost there, guys. Only got 3 left. Hi, my name is Cassie. I have 3 kids who play sports in the rec leagues. My kids look forward to every volleyball and basketball season. One of my kids has some disabilities, and playing sports helps her so much. I honestly don't know what she'd do without volleyball and basketball. I beg you to consider rebuilding the gym. The kids in our community need it and deserve it. Ashley Weinbrenner is this one. I am unable to come to the meeting tonight, but wanted to send this over for you to read. Thank you for doing this for me. My name is Ashley Weinbrenner, and I have been a Parks and Rec volleyball coach for 20 years. I started coaching right out of high school as a way to give back to the community. Back then, 2nd grade through 4th grade was the youngest division. Somewhere along the way, the youngest age division became kindergarten through 2nd grade, and that is a division I've been coaching for most of my career. If you want some feel-good moments, I suggest that you come to some of those games. I also began coaching at St. Patrick's School when my now 11-year-old daughter, who is in 5th grade, started playing on their 4th grade team. At our first game, I was amazed to see our team at St. Patrick's had the skill levels way beyond anyone else they went up against. I wholeheartedly believe this is because of the Parks and Rec program. Most of our players have had a volleyball in their hand since they were 5 or 6 years old. The Parks and Rec program has been instrumental in helping introduce volleyball and begin the love of the sport at a young age. I've seen a lot of children come through the Parks and Rec program over the years. The program has continued to grow and evolve every single year. When I have had conversations about our Parks and Rec department with friends who live outside our community, they are blown away by the amount of children who come to London to play sports. Not only do they learn the sport, they also are learning teamwork, confidence, listening skills, and so much more. Personally, my daughter have played volleyball and basketball through Parks and Rec. They have also taken swim lessons at our community pool. My girls look forward to each season of sports through the Parks and Rec Department, and my younger children are excited to begin their Parks and Rec career. I think a new facility would only help increase the numbers in all the sports programs. And finally, hello, my name is Craig Jackson, and I have been involved in coaching youth sports since 2015. I've seen many kids come through the community center participating in Parks and Recreation program. I've also, throughout the years, had the privilege of participating myself in weekend games put together by friends by renting out the community center. My kids have played here through numerous unforeseen conditions. There was a time when the heat was out in the building and everyone had to bundle up to watch the basketball games that weekend. Still, though, nothing ever discouraged them. They just wanted to play. The potential that this town has to grow and support our youth is endless. A place like the community center is somewhere for children to learn and grow through sports and activities. It should be a place for community members to use and an accessible staple in this town. I believe that council should consider every option that we have for a new community center building. If they don't, what will the youth do? There will be no option for kids to play indoor sports, and families will be forced to find out-of-town sources to provide this need. Thank you for your time and consideration. That's it.
All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. And listening to those comments, and I received one of those email as well, one thing that I did hear common was that they're saying that this is an idea from council to tear down the building and to also to build that proposed community center, and that's not at all an idea of council to do that. That's an idea of Mayor Closser to build that community center and then also to tear down the old building. As a matter of fact, there was a whole study done that we weren't aware of that was even complete or anything, and it included tearing the building down that came along with a grant dollars. So now the grant dollar deadline kind of pushes things a lot faster than maybe they need to go, but there is a deadline on there for dollars in order to help to tear down the current community center. I think that may be what's causing the urgency for the mayor to get those things completed. This has, we've heard from lots of people who are in support of that. However, the building of a community center, even better than the one that's being proposed now, has already gone to the people to vote, and they've already voted. The majority of the city voted no. They did not want that because a lot of them, their issue was they wanted more even than what was being proposed. And now this proposed community center presents even less than was presented before. I know the community says they want a swimming pool added. They want all these other things, and I think that they would be happy, and I think the city does deserve that. I think, if anything, the proposed community center should include a swimming pool. It should include party rooms. It should include all of these other things because not everyone plays basketball. Not everyone plays volleyball. I was a coach myself in the youth leagues in our gym here with Brian. I was coach right over there, and my son played and everything. But not everyone plays basketball. Not everyone plays volleyball. Some people may be more interested in swimming or something like that. Having parties, that would definitely expand what the city can do in the new proposed community center if we provide more of what the people are asking for. I feel that if we provided more of what they're asking for, they may be willing to even go a higher amount, knowing the true cost of what it would be to get exactly what they're looking for. And I think if we presented what they're looking for and what they're asking for, then we would have a better chance to get that approved and not to just, say, okay, you didn't approve that, but I'm going to give you this and this is what you're going to get. I'm going to give it to you, even though you've already voted on the ballots. No, you don't want that. I'm going to give you less and you're going to take it. I don't think that that's going to be fair. And of course, we do care about the kids in the community, and we do care about, the facilities in our community. We want to make sure that if we do have something here, it is top notch. I've heard that you can expand upon this building, but why not build a really nice building from the beginning and instead of coming back to the people later again to expand on it again? You can just ask them the first time and present more of what they want. So then hopefully they would be able to go to the ballot and show in the numbers that is exactly what they want. So that's why I have to say. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? Yes, Mayor Clausen.
Yes, just a couple things, but you're absolutely right. You guys did not come up with the idea to tear that building down. City council did not come up with the idea for the new proposed gyms. You're absolutely right. That is the administration's job. That's why we work here full-time. But the idea to tear down that gym was talked extensively in many council meetings and many committee meetings. And on September 15th, you guys voted 7-0 to take the grant and tear it down, right? So then, at that point, I need to figure out what our next step is. And that's where we started working through the process of looking at a new gym. So no, it wasn't my idea, but you guys apparently agreed with the idea to tear that building down if it was a 7-0 vote. You brought up the point that, it was brought to the people and it got voted down. The only thing I would say to that is you're absolutely correct, but there was 3 things on that levy. It wasn't just a community center. I just want to make that clear. And then you talk about, people want a swimming pool and activity rooms and a gym and workout facility. You're absolutely right. I just got pictures today of a YMCA, and it was, a full indoor track so the high school could run track meets, 3 gigantic pools for swim meets, all this. You're absolutely right. I would agree that if everybody said we could have that and have it for free, everybody would say build it today. But you're really talking about $15, $20, $25 million. So, we've got to start somewhere, and that's where this $3 million project comes into play. And then at that point, as we said, we have room to expand, and we could expand it to add on to do whatever we want in the future. I mean, if city council is nervous about spending $3 million, I mean, I assume they would be nervous about spending $25 million or asking the citizens for a 0.5% income tax to cover the debt service on $25 million, right? So I just think that, this is a good starting place. This is what we can do now and be able to keep our youth sports, keep our kids active, keep them engaged, and not just throw them out in the cold. So that's all I wanted to add. I appreciate your time.
Can I ask for a clarification, Mayor? You've mentioned that it could be expanded where? I don't understand where you would expand that to unless you're taking the bus parking out.
So that's one option. The school has continued to look at different places to put the school bus. I am talking about heading west. So if we did okay, let me finish. If we did want to expand to put something like a pool or community rooms or whatever, what we would do is we would then take out the London Visual Arts Building and then put them into the community room, into the community center as the proposed was during the levy. So we could head all the way down First Street, all the way.
And take the road out, cross
Yep.
where that road is, and take that building out.
Yes.
Okay.
And it could expand all the way down to Walnut.
What about the storm sewer?
All the way down to Walnut, which at one point, the proposed police department was going to go in
Well,
that area
yeah,
too.
and if the police department comes, it depends how big it is, but there was enough room to possibly, that you could put that right on Walnut in between the driveway.
Okay. What, Joe?
That's a lot
Yeah,
more
Josh.
land than I think people, if you look at an aerial view of it, there's quite a bit of land.
Doesn't it, the big storm sewer, doesn't that flow through there?
Yeah,
So we'd build on top of that?
well, it just depends how you want to build it.
Okay.
And I know during the previous discussions, demolishing the Visual Arts Guild building was not a popular topic with the community.
If we have a place for them to go, they were excited to go into the new proposed community center. They were very excited to go into that. What we said is now that the triple levy didn't pass with the 3 things on it, we didn't want to just throw them out. So that's why we backed off of tearing that building down, because we didn't want to tear it down and them have nowhere to go. We think the arts are just as important as sports. So, yeah,
Well, I had a discussion with several people that are members there, and they were pretty upset at all the work and everything that they put into the building to bring it to, up to what it is now, and they were definitely not in favor, and there's several people not in favor of having their hard work torn down. So that's just something I'm relaying. It's not,
yeah, I
it's
would
not
ha-
personal, so don't take it
No,
personal.
that's fine, and I would have to just disagree, because I went to their board meeting when we first started talking about this, because I did not want them to hear this on the street of what we were thinking about doing, and I went to the board meeting and not one person, said, no, we don't want this down. They were excited to move into a brand-new space that they could call their own and help us design.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Let's see.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now on to our audience concerns. Let's see here, we have Landon McKenzie. If you could, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, please.
This already on?
Yes, that should, tap it, it should, yep, it's on.
Landon McKenzie, 1054 Amherst Boulevard. I'm also the Parks and Recreation Director, for those that might not know that. I'd like to start off by saying that the partial letter that made its way on the social media last night was sent from me and not from anybody on the city administration. I say partial letter because the original media poster left off an important piece of the letter, and that was the signature and the contact info of who sent it out. It didn't take long for the keyboard warriors to start accusing the wrongful party of sending it out. They even got a councilman to comment on his own post that it appears that city administration sent out a letter to those involved in youth sports. That there shows the danger of how misinformation is being posted online by a direct few people in order to make it appear the majority of the citizens are against the gym. I wrote the letter as an informational piece as well as an invitational one. Many families involved in London Parks and Recreation were not even aware that the current community center was being torn down and that a new gymnasium has been proposed. 297 kids have registered for our Winter Youth Basketball League, a 13.3% increase from the previous season. This increase brought a challenge of its own, as under the old formatting of teams, we would not have enough practice space for all the teams. By increasing the number of kids per teams, we brought the number of teams back down below 36, ensuring that each team could have 2 one-hour practices per week. Current practice schedule is as follows. 18 teams practice on Monday and Wednesday for 1 hour each day between the hours of 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. 15 teams practice on Tuesday and Thursday for 1 hour each day between the hours of 5:30 and 8:30 p.m. There are 66 one-hour practice slots that are currently happening at the community center. Use the gyms at the school is a popular response by a lot of people. What those people do not understand is that throughout the weeknights, those gyms are already occupied by school basketball teams, wrestling teams, volleyball teams, baseball and softball teams, cheerleading, and other extracurricular activities associated with the schools. The after-hours time that the school gyms have available is at 8:30 p.m. on most nights. No parent should have to bring their kid to a practice that late. And practice, in my eyes, is more important than games. At practice is where kids learn and gain knowledge, not only about the sport they are playing, but about themselves as well. We, as a city, need to be able to provide them a place where they can discover who they are. Look at the athletes that compete for London City Schools. If I had to guess, they all started playing their prospective sport at a young age, with most starting in a Parks and Recreation league. Game days on Saturdays consist of 19 games played on 2 courts starting at 8 a.m. with the last game wrapping up around 5 p.m. With the school teams using the gyms at various times on the weekend, getting a consistent game schedule would be a daunting task. What about using the church gymnasiums is another popular response I see. Most of these church gymnasiums are not properly equipped or lack the space needed to officially run basketball games at them. Our kindergarten first grade division needs 8-foot tall rims. Second and third grade division plays at 9-foot tall, while the fourth, fifth, sixth grade division uses a regulation height of 10 feet. Some of these gymnasiums are not even set up to allow volleyball games to happen. Using other people's gymnasium is going to come at a cost. There will be janitorial costs and rental fees. Additional employees might need to be hired if teams are spread to multiple gyms at the same time. Wouldn't the money be better spent going towards building a gymnasium that the city has control over? The building of a new gymnasium will allow for additional revenue to be brought in that the current gymnasium was unable to. Having a climate-controlled building will allow programs to happen year-round. New programs for youth and adults, as well as rentals, will help bring in revenue to offset the cost of the new gymnasium. As the city continues to grow, the participation in youth sports will continue to rise also. The 13.3% increase in participation in the youth basketball program is not an anomaly. There will continue to be increases in all the programs for years to come. Providing a gymnasium to continue to build the youth sports program should be a priority that shouldn't be overlooked. As a council, you voted to demolish the current gymnasium used for volleyball and basketball program. Building its replacement should not be pushed down the road. With a 16 to 18-month build time, it could be feasible to have one season of sports programs at sites all throughout the city. Parents will understand the odd hours or the constant changes in the schedules if they know it is a temporary solution while a new gymnasium is being built. For those that know me, they see the passion I have when it comes to youth sports. From all the teams I have coached to the endless hours I have volunteered in youth programs. I don't do it for the notoriety, I do it for the kids. So regardless of how the vote goes for the new gymnasium, I will still be doing all that I can to offer programs that allow today's youth to learn and experience the excitement that comes from playing sports. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Norman. Please state your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Michael W. Norman, 188 South Oak Street here in the great city of London, Ohio. It's 218-22 is what I wanted to talk about first. Overall, after I did some research, that's the one about the raises, right? Are we on the same one? 218-22 is about the raises, correct? So after doing some research, I sent out like 33 cities across that were about the same size as us and asked what their wages were and then averaged them. It's pretty much across the board. There were only two that I kind of questioned why ours either make lower or higher, and that was our auditor compared to those other cities across the way is making about $10,000 less a year. So that one I feel probably is justifiably reasonable to bring that. The other one that I questioned that's too high, and I kind of got an answer, but I don't feel it was a good one, is our law director makes almost $20,000, sometimes upward to $30,000 more than the average of the 33 cities that I pooled. So those are my only two questions on those. Other than that, I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, someone getting a 100% raise, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, coming back and wanting 12% more. But looking at the average, he actually deserves it, I guess. So we should probably give it to him. And then the next one I want to talk about is 217-22. And again, I have to say not at this time. I don't think it's a good time for it. They want to argue that, hey, we can do, you know, we can do more than one thing at once. Well, there's a tower down there and a plant down there that we've been working on for, I don't know, at least 8 years, that we haven't got that right. So if you can't get one thing right, how can I expect you to do 2 or 3 at once? So there's my rebuttal to that. But again, I know it's something that we want. It's something that you could say, if you listen to what's being said, that we need. But I also need to know that when I dial 911, that my fire department is going to be properly funded. So until the fire department is properly funded and there's something in writing you guys have done that says, I know they're going to be funded, without relying on this tax levy, then I don't see how you can move forward on a gymnasium. It's something that, you know, you've said yourself, 500 people benefit from versus the whole city. And then finally, 215, 215-22, I don't feel it should be passed until we take out that payment that we're already trying to force into the budget that we haven't even approved for. That should be taken out, amended, I would say, before you approve it, because how can you approve to spend that money for that purpose if you haven't even approved the purpose for it to be spent? And say that 10 times quickly. And thank you again for letting me talk.
Thank you. Yes,
Hey,
Mr.
no,
Eads.
Yeah, this isn't a comment. We had a gentleman walk in late. I think he filled out a sheet. Mr. Norman, you know how to get that and bring that up here?
I have that.
You have the last one?
Yeah.
Also? Okay.
Yes, with his daughter?
Yeah, on the right side?
Oh, on the right.
Okay, I just want to make sure you
Yeah,
have it.
yes, I do have it.
Thank you.
Yes, I did. Yep. Thank you. All right, do we have any questions or anything for Mr. Norman? All right, yes, Mr. Castle?
I just want to solve some confusion, because I've seen this on the Facebook posts numerous times, and Michael addressed it again. The tower's been working since it was finished, the water tower out by the new plant. It's full with 1 million gallons of water and works every day. So the tower, but you just said it didn't, so I wanted to clarify that.
I apologize, I
Yeah.
think the treatment plant.
Yeah, and the treatment plant, you know, council approved the loan to get the engineering done, to get the fix going on that. And, you know, it's anticipated by the middle of next year that the new plant should be producing water based on those findings by the or the engineering
The
company.
only reason I brought that up,
Microphone. Thank you.
but again, the only reason I brought that up is because this administration wants to continue to say we can do more than one thing at once. And again, 8 years it's been sitting there, 8 years it's produced nothing. Yes, we are doing something now, trying to, and again, you said trying to. We don't know what you're doing is gonna fix it or not.
We've been told by
Because
the
we were told-
engineers it'll fix it.
But we've been told previous years through this 8-year period that we had to fix, that didn't work, we had to fix.
No,
that
we
didn't
had, we had proposed fixes, and that's when we were working with the EPA, if you remember, doing their pilot test study.
Right.
And they didn't know if that would work, we didn't know if it would work, the engineers didn't know if that would
But
work.
on my end, I don't care who's telling me, as a representative, you're
Okay.
telling me, hey, we might have a fix, so we're still might having a fix, that's gonna take us into the next year. I'm just saying, I don't trust that you guys can do more than one thing at once.
Well, thank you for your confidence.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. All right, next we have Tommy Boyd. Please state your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, please.
Tommy Boyd, 48 North Union Street. So last week, we talked a little bit about the planned financials for the fire department and the EMD joining each other. That part got pretty well settled. However, asking around, it seemed that there were other issues that came up besides just doing it because it was a good choice for the citizens financially. And so this is part of a conversation I had with someone else, and they actually still work within the department there, but just gonna read that first. The city asked us to drop their millage to 2% while leaving the rest of the district at 3% because they felt that since they're the biggest in the district, they shouldn't have to pay as much. They also demanded Olwen be fired or Chief Eads be placed in charge of all of our operations. That would have been nice to save us the 1% with no extra additional financial needs. However, why did you believe that asking them to remove Chief Olwen was a benefit to this community?
And yeah, you can answer that.
I can?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Well,
asked us a question.
First of
correct?
all, it's not 2%, okay?
I get you. 2 mils, 3 mils.
So it was
Going
millage.
further words.
It was millage, and the discussion was, I am talking about the city of London, so I said, I think that it should be dropped down. They had so much money in excess, and they had no plans to spend it, that why are we continuing to tax people at a rate when you only need to tax them at this rate and still have all that carryover? So,
That was perfectly fine.
and so I am negotiating for the city of London, but I didn't say drop ours and keep everybody's the same. Because I even said, you probably can drop everybody's, but I'm worried about ours. But you can drop everybody's to that amount and then go. Then the Olwen thing, I'd love to know who your source is, but you probably won't tell me. But there was a lot of contention there of the way that he was not letting us go on runs with our fire department that we felt that we should be going on. We talked about with EMD about bringing not Chief Eads in, but another chief, Bennington, in to run EMD with Central Township. So the funny thing is after we took it over, Olwen quit 6 months later, and now Bennington is the chief of EMD. So
I thought he retired.
what? Okay, he retired, but
Okay,
yes.
That's a difference.
Okay, he retired. He did retire. And so it was like, well, but these were just talking points that we were having with them on how we think, as the biggest entity in the EMD, how it should be done and how it should be taken care of.
So when they said no to getting rid of their chief for you,
No, that wasn't the
when-
that wasn't the biggest point. The biggest point was they were overtaxing us.
I
That
understand
was
that.
the biggest point. And the other biggest point was the safety of the citizens to be able to have fire and EMS on both sides of the tracks. Fire and EMS on both sides of the tracks. And we talked about that, dropping it and then having a partnership where we could put a truck there and they could put EMS vehicle on the north side.
all right. And it just sounds like there was a little bit, though, of a little spiteful choice there, though, still. It's kind of a, hey, you didn't take our option. And so because of that, we're taking this over anyway. And so dropping the 3 mills there and everything else, it's nice, but at the same time, now that we're saying, well, we didn't expect house values to go up, and so we're not really noticing it now. Why didn't we expect our house values
I
to
don't
go
think
up?
that it was spiteful. It was that we were being overtaxed and that we could increase the safety by having fire and EMS on both sides of the tracks. So we were looking at the safety of our citizens and the overtaxation of our
Were
citizens.
there citizens complaining about the taxation at that time? Or the safety?
Well, nobody knew about it. Nobody
Okay.
knew how much that they were
So
holding
no-
down there.
All right. Then that works. At this point, it does seem like we made a choice that wasn't for the people as much as I'd say. I'd like to see the city take responsibility for that choice of, hey, we thought this was a good choice.
I will say that I take responsibility for the plan that I put forward and a plan that city council
And so how are you
approved.
planning to pay
So-
for the fire
so-
department
so-
now then? That's the main point here.
Well, that's why when we dropped the mills, we told people in 3 years we would have to come back,
But
and we would not.
besides the levy, if we don't have any levy, how are we funding this?
Well, that's going to have to all come through the budgeting process.
All right, well, that's one that I'm thinking the city should start looking into because, once again, we didn't ask for that change.
You
We
didn't-
didn't look for that choice.
There's
And
a
I
lot of
understand
things.
that's a nice choice for
Okay,
us,
okay, okay.
but it is
My
something
job
that-
is to look out for
You
the
could help.
citizens of the city of London. So if I can make their taxes lower and then keep them safer, then that's what I'm going to do as my job. And that's fine. I understand why you're doing
taken
this.
the
I
account-
understand why you're doing this, and that's fine. But I will stand by that decision,
Also because I work in Columbus, and so you've already taken our out-of-city tax credit.
which you
You
pay
know-
2.5% in Columbus for some place that you're there a quarter of the time of your life. And if your house catches on fire, Columbus Fire Department's not coming to put it out. I guarantee it.
I understand that. I
Yes.
don't have a choice in that.
Exactly.
However, I did have a ability to not pay as much in my home city because of that. and now I don't. And so just as far as when to keep our taxes lower, that's kind of the argument to that one. Last piece that I had was after the meeting last November 17th, I checked out YouTube. There's a 4-second video that had sound and video and is now deleted. So I was just curious if someone during that day was changing anything on the cameras or making sure they worked, if you did a sound check, video check, or anything else that day maybe?
And that refers to the meeting on the 17th? You said a video actually was taken?
There was a 4-second video on YouTube that
That's
next day.
interesting, because I
Middle
pressed
of
the
the
button
afternoon, so
and
you
I
can
kept
see the
getting
sun coming
nothing.
in.
Wow,
You had to dig a bit to find it,
Huh.
but it was there.
that's
It's-
interesting. Because I know there was quite a few things that we had to do to actually get that video to work, because I was, totally perplexed as to why it was not working. Because we actually, they showed me how to do it. Literally, you just press a button that says record, and it's supposed to record. So hopefully, we're getting the
It's
video
working.
this evening. They've gotten all the kinks and everything worked out, so I'm not sure. Do you know why there may have been some type of recording?
Yeah, it was called, you and I were working to make sure that things were, whenever they fixed it, we were making sure that things were
On the
working.
17th?
It said the 17th on it, it wasn't the 17th. Remember, we had that, we were copying
And it came up for a second
Yeah.
when we tried it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would maybe.
Yeah, maybe it
It
had
was
the incorrect,
16.
maybe it
was
had an
just a
incorrect
test.
date,
It was
yeah.
just a test. If you
Because we
saw-
did do a test, it was a big mess.
If you saw sunshine, it
Yeah.
wasn't council meeting, because
Yeah.
it's always dark
Yeah,
when we have
that's
council
why I'm
meeting.
saying it was before council meeting.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was,
just-
it was actually another day.
It was another day.
Yeah,
It was
maybe
just,
before council meeting?
I can vouch
2
for
days
that,
before council
because I was
meeting?
pretty upset the video didn't work, so I can vouch
Or
that it
was it-
wasn't, it was another day, yeah,
Was that day though, before or after the 17th?
after.
Okay,
Yeah, there were
so
firewall issues and all
that's-
kinds of things. It was pretty bad.
in that case then.
Yeah.
All right. In this case, because no one says they wanted to mess with it before the 17th there, I'd like to see if we could look at the cameras on the 17th and see if there was any earlier activity that day. I believe that's a direct infringement of communication with the city and is not the first time it has happened with legislative items that are going through here that may reflect our administration poorly. Repercussions, I would hope, would be made if we are seeing that something's being changed to not allow for that videotaping to be happening.
my question to Mr. Comer.
Yeah.
The technical support people were on the phone, and I asked them specifically to tell you what happened.
Yeah, and I spoke directly with the company that actually runs the recording system, and according to them, there was a copy in a IP address or something with a firewall, and they had to close it down, and something with the camera up here. It was a really big mess, and they had to redo everything and reset everything, and it took 24 hours to reset. We did this on a Friday, and then had to check it out on Monday to make sure that everything worked correctly. So I tried it tonight, and I actually saw the record button and everything. And they actually let us know, too, that that evening, and unfortunately, no one knew this, but actually on the machine back here, there's a manual button where you can record and stop, actually on the machine. But whoever the technician was that set that up maybe did not
Once
let
again-
us know, but now I know that.
Nothing really wrong with it. It was just interesting to see
Yeah.
that had posted up when the main issue was there was no video and sound. And so, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Also, thank you very much for the recording of that last week and kind of going out of your way, you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Mr. Eads for that audio recording that he made. That was a lot of work. It was about over a 2-hour meeting, so I do appreciate the time that he put into that, as well as the minutes for that meeting. All right, next we have Andrea Dillion. I got that right on the third try.
You're fine, I'll answer to anything. The first thing I'd like to say is I'm not against a community center at all. I think we need it. I think as a Realtor, I'd love to have it. I think it would benefit the community. but I think there are much bigger issues that London needs to deal with than a community center. My first question I'd like to ask is, I thought that David Kell was going to be here to talk about the bond and the interest rate.
David Kell will not talk about the bond or the interest rate. That's not what David Kell does.
Okay, you said somebody was going to be here.
David Kell will be here on the 15th,
Okay,
or, yes, that's the next meeting,
That's
right?
the
The
next
15th.
and final meeting for the year.
Yes, so David Kell will be at that meeting. We will also get the updated sheet that you're asking about, the bond
Okay.
rates and all that, before that meeting. We didn't want to get them too early, and then people
Sure.
say, oh, well, that's 20 days out, and that doesn't count, so we wanted to get as close. So
I don't talk like that, Pat.
Not you. Why, how about this? 20 days out, and that doesn't count. So we wanted to wait, we have it on our calendar for the Monday before that we will talk
Okay.
to Baird to get those numbers.
Okay, so he'll be here, or somebody will be here on the 15th. Okay, all right, great. My next question is, when we first talked about this, you had talked about bringing in community involvement. So the big businesses, bringing in Coughlin, bringing in Stanley, bringing in all those companies that would help provide for this community center. Was any of that looked into?
So I never said specific names.
Okay.
Okay, so you just named specific people
Those
that,
are the big companies.
I never said any specific names.
Okay.
So I just want to make that clear, because I don't
Okay.
want somebody to see this and be like, oh, they were going to give and now they didn't, or whatever.
Okay.
I have had conversations with business people from the area about coming in and bringing some money in. The
Okay.
problem is that I don't want to put the cart before the horse. If this thing is not going to, because, I'm not going
You've
to
already put it in the budget for next year, so the cart's already
okay.
before the horse. Go ahead.
It's every time I try to talk,
know.
every week you just cut me off. So I meant put the cart before the horse, as in, I'm not going to go out and solicit donations if this is not going to go through. If this goes through, that's when I'll really put the presentation together and go talk to those businesses. Because I'm not going to be able to raise $3 million.
But
Okay?
you've already got the 3 million, so you don't need them at that point. If you went to Stanley, who my sister-in-law's Laura Toops, who I've spoken to, they've not been approached. That's just one company.
You're absolutely correct.
Who always supports everything.
You're absolutely
in this
correct.
community.
You're
So I'm
absolutely
just
correct.
coming to one. I'm just bringing up one.
Okay, can I, so what the plan is that if this does get passed, that's when I go out and we start, in a way, selling ad space on the walls, right? Which is a donation, is what it would be, right?
But you've already got the $3 million bond
Okay,
at 7%.
okay.
So there's no need for Stanley or BST or Coughlin. I mean, I'm just saying what I'm feeling.
What you're saying is that you're not letting me finish.
Okay.
So say we can raise $300,000, right? What we would do is we would put that towards the debt service, right? So I don't know if we're going to be able to raise $1 or raise $300,000. So the thing that makes sense is to take out the full amount, then we could restructure it if I'm able to get that before it goes through, or we just pay off the debt service early.
So as a homeowner and a realtor, my thought would be, do I want to take out a huge loan up front, or do I want to see if I can get my mom and dad to give me some money? And I don't have to take out that huge loan. I have to take out a smaller loan, and then I don't have as much debt. That's just my thought. I don't know. I think maybe the community should have been checked out beforehand, the big community companies. You said that up front. That was what you were going to do. We'll leave that alone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm not against the community center. I'm for it. But I still want to go back to when this last election happened, and you said, I'm disappointed that the levy didn't pass. We understand with the state of the economy and inflation, this would be a difficult levy to pass, but these dollars are needed for our safety services. Okay, we will now reevaluate the budget and make some very tough decisions while continuing to serve the citizens to the best of our abilities. So if
Correct.
we're concerned about the safety services, how are we going to do a community center? I'm worried about, I want a new police center. I want my police to have the best that they could have. I want to have the fire department. I had to have Chief Eads come to my house a month ago. I was very happy to have them all there. I don't want to call and not get anybody to come. I don't want to call the police department and not have anybody come. How can you guarantee me that's not going to happen if we're putting money into a community center that you haven't even budgeted completely for, which I have your budget. I asked you if you did a cost analysis, and you told me yes. You told me, yes, it's right here. And I brought it, and it's not broken down. You don't have any, what you put up in the last meeting does not have any of our income coming in. You've got it broken down into each department, but it's not broken down into what is the cost and what's coming in income-wise. Where is a true cost and now? Can I find that somewhere?
Of the final budget?
Yes.
The final budget is not completed yet. The city council, there's steps, there's government. City council has to pass this budget, and then the.
How can they pass a
Okay.
budget when they don't even know what's in it? They don't know what the true cost is. You're bringing David Kell next week. You've only added $2 million to the budget. That's not a true cost. I can promise you that's not a true cost. Even if you get it for 5.5%, it's $2.5 million. You're $500,000 short there. I'm even going with your lower, you told me the interest rate would be 5.5%, you were thinking. So I went with that. That brings me to $2.5 million. You put $2 million in the budget.
All we can tell you is we met with our financial advisor. He gave us a loan analysis with the interest rate at the time, and he told us what the debt service would be. The debt service amount that he told us is in the budget.
Okay.
Now, we're gonna redo it next week or the Monday before the next council meeting to get the right interest rates. Second thing is, we didn't budget any revenue coming in because the building ain't gonna be done until 2024. So there will be no revenue coming in.
I'm not
There
talking about
won't be-
revenue, I'm
there won't be
talking about
any-
your income from the people, your property values, your income coming in.
I'm not getting you on that one.
What is our estimated revenue?
Yes,
That was taken care of, the estimated revenue from,
For next year?
yeah, through the tax department? The tax department estimates our revenue of what the tax department's
Greg,
gonna
was
bring
that
in.
in what was given to us last week, or the last council meeting?
They don't have,
Was the income? I don't know, but when he brings up the tax department, but there's more revenue than just our income tax, right?
Right.
I mean, there's more revenue streams than just that, but we do get that from the income tax department.
So if the levy doesn't pass in May, what are we gonna do? If it doesn't pass for the fire department, what are we gonna do? What do you guys plan to do? What's the plan?
You want me to speak?
Yes.
Well, okay, well, I just don't want you, I don't know when
Absolutely,
I don't
Todd.
know when you're done. Well, that's the process that we're working through right now. Is we will have a better idea of 6 months into the year on collections and what, if anything, we'll be able to get out of the general, because you gotta remember, those are separate. Those are two separate quote-unquote entities. So if city council decides to take money out of the general fund and put it into the fire fund, those are the discussions that'll have to be made.
Sure. And then my second question to you, what's the deal with Pulte? Why is Pulte not finishing the Heth project? Can I ask you?
Did I speak on this last time?
You said that there were EPA issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now, Pulte's looking at land down in Fayette County, of course, because Intel's coming in. There
Correct.
is, I'm gonna give you the address, 11032 Allen Road, okay? There is 159 acres down there for $9 million. I've been told, and I can't give you my source, and I know you'd like that, because that's what you asked before.
I don't care.
But they're not gonna come to London.
Okay.
Because our infrastructure is not good. So we have an infrastructure problem, we have a safety services problem, and you wanna put in a rec center, which I would love to have. I could sell a lot more houses. But it's not the best thing for the citizens.
All
of
I
the
can tell you is what Pulte tells me, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I can tell you is what they told me, and I said that at the last meeting.
Well, of course, they're not going to come to the mayor and say, well, we're not coming because whatever. I mean, they're gonna try,
They're
they're
a
a
multi,
national
they are a
company.
national company. Why
know.
wouldn't they?
Because it's just easier to move on and go down there.
Okay.
Where they have no infrastructure problems. Okay. And my final thing to you is this. I appreciate all the comments you brought from all the people that use the community center. I have 4 nieces in this community. I've been there for many games. I know that everybody appreciates it. You had comments from at least 4, I think 5, that were not even from London.
Okay.
If I had known I could have brought people's emails in or their comments in that were against it, I would have done it today. My plan was to bring and fill this hall with the people that are against it, which I'm hoping to do with the next meeting. I didn't know I could just bring in comments from people. But comments from other people that aren't even in London, they're not even living in London, what's the point? Your constituency is London, all of London. That's all I have to say.
They sent me emails and asked me to read them, so I did so.
Shit, I could read a whole bunch too.
Well, oh,
From all over.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And she did have a good point, too. I would like to know what plan you do have if it fails again, which is the same exact question I had from the very beginning. What happens in November? This fails again. And so far, what I'm hearing is similar to the building of the community center. Even if you don't vote for it, I'm still going to make you pay for it. That's kind of still what I'm hearing, because I still haven't heard any Plan Bs yet. So moving on to Anita Likens. Please state your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, please.
Hello. Anita Likens, 157 East First Street. I'm going to make it easy on you tonight. I am not going to read anything about the Constitution. I am not going to even take my full 5 minutes. I am impressed with the turnout tonight. For over the last year, I've been coming here, and sometimes I'm the only one here, right? I have heard during the time that I've been here twice a month about tearing the building down in the grant, and about how we're going to get the extra money to take care of the EMS, and how the fire department and the police department and building a community center. I've heard this discussed ad nauseum. I've heard wonderful things coming out of this council and the administration, and I'm not saying I'm giving anybody kudos, but what I am seeing is the importance of local involvement for how our government works. If we could have this kind of discussion, this kind of turnout, and Andrea, if we can get a room full, yay, let's do it. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Likens, before you step down,
Yes, sir.
your husband had informed us at the last meeting how you were recognized as the volunteer of the quarter. Was that at the USO?
Yes, sir, it was.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to applaud you. And if you don't know, Anita and I are in the Anita and I are in the Lions Club together. And I'm gonna tell you a quick story that you may or may not know, and it'll probably embarrass her. There was a club someplace else that decided to take the glasses cases and use those to make little first aid kits that they handed out to homeless people. And we discussed that, and that was a great idea. However, Lion Anita there has taken our glass cases and made these into little toy kits that are handed out to the children of soldiers as they pass through the USO. And how many have you done, do you think, this year?
We've handed out over 400 of those this year at the USO at Wright Pat Air Force Base, and we've got another 300 in the pipeline.
Wow.
We are getting anywhere from 12 to 25 a week that are being used. These kits contain coloring sheets,
Wow.
balloons, cars, jewelry, whatever the kids would like, and they're free to charge. These service members are doing so much for us. It's just a small gift back. And let me make sure, too, it's not just the Lions Club. The West Jefferson VFW is in total support of this. It's a collaborative event, and we're actually doing a work table with them, and they are donating funds to help support the items that go into those cases. So
But Ms. Likens makes it a point to get over there every Tuesday?
Thursday,
Thir-
I
every
just came
Thursday.
from there, I actually had my
That's
shirt
right,
on.
every Thursday, so she goes over and volunteers there and takes those kits. And the world needs more volunteers, and thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Josh Sanders. Please state your name, address, and you have 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Josh Sanders, 281 Thames Court. I'm sitting back there kind of thinking about what I want to say, and I'm just going to completely reverse course here. First of all, I've got many people on both sides of the spectrum that I'm friends with. Andrea and I may not agree on things, but we're still friends. Same with Michael. You know, I've known Michael for years. I'm very much in support of a community center, and as quickly as we can get it. Let me give you a prime example. If we don't take care of the kids, down the road, we may have an issue with criminal things. Let me give you a prime example of planting a seed. I used to be a youth pastor years ago. I've worked with youth since 2005 in different communities, mostly in London. When I left the community center just now, as I was coaching a team, I'm not going to say a name, but there's a young man in there who I know came through Parks and Rec, and who I know, matter of fact, has been in trouble with the law in London, who is now volunteering as a coach. Seeds were planted early on in his life as a player, and he came back around, and now he is helping out. And I understand that you guys are saying things like people aren't against it, and I get that. We don't have 2 years to wait for a community center to be built. If you give 2 years away, you're going to stunt the development of the kids, and who knows what's going to happen in those 2 years. I know there's other things that are very, very important. I think that's all. I'm not discounting that. But it's very, very important that we build a community center. I don't know much about like the plans, and I don't know anything about that. I just know that something needs to be done, and it needs to be improved. That over there is busting at the seams. We can't even hardly practice. There's so many kids in there and so many parents. It's ready to blow. It's just ready to go crazy in a good way. And I know that if we wait, we're missing an opportunity. We're missing an opportunity to take care of our kids, and it's not just about sports. It's about development and getting these kids with their heads screwed on straight. Because if you miss a year or two, I'm telling you right now, they could get in trouble. They'll go to other cities, and you're going to miss other things. So that's all I want to say. I don't know what the ins and outs are. I don't know much about government and all this. I'm just saying this. I completely support the community center. I don't even know what the plans are as far as how quickly it can happen. I'm all in favor of it happening now and expanding. I think that's a great idea, but something needs to be done, and it cannot take 2 or 3 years for it to happen. We don't have time. These kids are way too important for us. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to our committee reports. We'll begin with Mr. Stahl.
I have nothing tonight.
All right, Mr. Hitt.
Nothing new.
All right, Mr. Hayes.
Safety meeting will be December 13th at 5 o'clock in the conference room.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson.
Just the next public service meeting will be January, did I not tell you?
December?
December 7th, sorry. Normally, we have the meeting before this.
Right.
I'm used to saying in the next month, so.
Yeah. All right.
Is
Mr.
that
Peters.
6 p.m.?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.?
Yep.
And what's that date again?
December 7th.
December 7th.
I'm sorry, Rich, what would you say the date was of the other one?
13th.
13th. Thank you.
Tuesday,
And what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
All right, finance meeting, December 5th, 6 PM.
Okay.
And I'll be at 2 of those 3 meetings, but we have nothing new. We haven't had a committee meeting since
That's
the
right.
last meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, on to old business. We still have our tabled items, and I think they will continue to be there. And that is ordinance 14622, ordinance 14722, and ordinance 15122. One for its fourth reading is.
Mr.
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
President, I just have a
Okay.
question.
Uh-huh.
Since Mr. Smith's no longer on council, do we need to, at some point, change who's sponsoring those pieces of legislation, or can they stay?
As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I had on here. We need to pick a new BPU rep, and Anthony Smith. And that's something I'll have to ask Jennifer. I don't know if he can remain as the sponsor because it was presented as him on that committee. So that may need to stay, but we will definitely have to replace him as our representative for our BPU.
Okay, just curious.
All right, thank you. And on for the fourth reading, ordinance 20422, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ordinance 20422, sponsored by Andrew Hitt, an ordinance amending official zoning map.
So this is to change the zoning from M1 to PUD, and the area concerned is between High Street, Cherry Street, and West First Street, and the tracks. It's over by the football field along Cherry Street, and the plan is to develop storage units over there. And we have a public hearing the 15th.
On the next meeting, that's correct. All right, thank you. On to ordinance 20522, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved. Second.
All right, ordinance 20522, sponsored by John Stahl, an ordinance amending official zoning map.
This is the change to a PUD at the Center Street Maple and the Ohio Erie Trail for a bed and breakfast. And the public hearing for that will be the next meeting, 12:15.
Okay, thank you. Now on to our old business for second readings. Ordinance 21022, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, ordinance 21022, sponsored by John Stahl, an ordinance declaring the necessity for planting, maintaining, trimming, and removing shade trees in and along the streets of the city of London, estimating the cost thereof, and providing for the levy of special assessments.
As I explained last time, this is by the Ohio Revised Code. You have to renew it every 2 years. And as I understand, it needs to be it has to go through the county, and it has to pass tonight to get there. Is that what Henry is saying?
Right, because the deadline to have that in is tomorrow. So.
So instead of 3
Yeah.
readings, we need to suspend tonight. I move to suspend.
Okay.
Hold on. I do have a couple questions,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Shirley Litchfield contacted me today. She wanted, to make sure, because she couldn't hear the recording so well, she wanted to make sure that people understood that these funds do come from our property taxes. And that all goes through the auditor, county auditor, and just wanted to verify that. That's true, correct?
Yes, after that goes through here, they the one that give the percentage, and it goes on the taxation of the whole city, and it changes every 2 years.
Yeah, she asked that amount, and I told her that that wasn't set because I think they have to recalculate based on,
That's why it has to be to the county tomorrow to find out.
okay. And she also wants to know, because you refused to answer anything about this last meeting, if the tree commission, not you, Councilman Stahl, but as a member of the tree commission, are they going to consider the removal of trees that are damaging sidewalks and repairing damaged sidewalks? And so her question is, will you be willing to take that to the tree commission and discuss that?
We've had that discussion, not sure the exact thing, but we had to go through the law director, as I remember.
Okay,
And we can check it out by our next meeting.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks for answering those for Shirley.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion on the table to suspend,
I'll second it.
and we have a second. Let's see.
Move to adopt.
All right,
Oh, we got to vote.
we have to vote first. So we'll take the roll call for suspension. Mr. Eads?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hitt?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
All right,
Move to
now a
adopt.
motion to adopt.
Motion
Second.
to adopt?
Second,
Okay, we have a first
Whichever.
and second to adopt.
as long as it gets done.
All right, we'll get the roll call. Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Hitt?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Eads?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that does pass. Mark this here. All right, On to ordinance 21222, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Ordinance 21222, sponsored by John Stahl, an ordinance amending section 660 of the codified ordinances.
This is one about mowing grass in the summertime in nice weather. It's an ordinance update. It's $75 per visit, one notice per year. And I think that's all I have on that.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on this one? Okay, what are our wishes here?
I'd say keep it on. see
Keep
if
it on?
anybody wants to-
Okay. All right. Moving along to ordinance 21522, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Ordinance 21522, sponsored by Josh Peters, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of London, State of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
So this is the 2023 expense budget for the year.
Okay. Any questions or discussions on 21522?
The money that's been put aside for the proposed new recreational center is in that, correct?
It is. Do you remember, because you can't see it in here, what that number was? Was it a round number of 200 or did? 200, okay.
Okay. Yes, we do have a question from the audience. Yeah, if you use the microphone, please. Thank you.
But we will not know till December 15th what that true cost will be. So until we have the next meeting, nobody's going to know what that true cost is.
And you mean based upon what the interest rate is at that time and what it's really going to be?
Okay, thank you. All right, on to Resolution 21622, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Resolution 21622, sponsored by Josh Peters, a resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Madison County Future Incorporated.
Okay, this would be a contract with Madison County Future Incorporated if we decide to go with building the new building. Now, since David will be here next meeting, he can kind of talk about this more at the
Okay.
next meeting.
And yeah, Dave Kell will be here. He's a representative of CIC. All right, thank you. On to ordinance 21822, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
What's that?
217.
Oh, 217, sorry about that. 21722, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ordinance 21722, sponsored by Josh Peters, an ordinance providing the issuance of not to exceed $3 million of bond by the City of London, Ohio, for the purpose of financing a portion of the cost of the acquisition and construction of a new city gymnasium and matters related to such bonds and declaring an emergency.
This need amended to take Anthony's name out.
I don't think that it will. We'll check with Jennifer, but since he was the original sponsor of that, I don't think we need to change that. I'm
He's
not.
on the certificate of membership.
Let's see here.
Well,
For the
Is that
gymnasium?
217?
Yeah, 21722. Let's take a look here.
well, and we also have, and Amy's listed, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Certification of membership.
Yes, so we will need to discuss this with Jennifer Hitt to see if we need to have those two removed on the final approval or rejection of 21722.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Got a question down there.
Yes.
So a couple things, and I was trying to write this down, and I didn't say anything. I'm going to back up to 216 for a minute. At the last council meeting, I asked some questions. The mayor sent something out a couple days ago that if anybody had further questions, contact him. He also gave Jennifer's email address and David Kells if we had questions specifically on those. I did reach out to our law director. I'll just want to give you guys the update. So the question that I asked about the legal agreement on 216, the lease agreement, and my question was, that each side could seek legal counsel. I wanted to know why we did not, or should we have some type of a document from our law director saying she checks off on this. So I'm going to give you an update. I'll be happy to email all of this to you later. I just didn't get to do that today. She said the lease was drafted by Nick Atkins and herself. She provided the first draft, and a few clarifications were added after reviewing it. She believes it is the best way to move forward if council decides to go forward with building the gymnasium. The city has done similar contracts in the past in conjunction with the CIC, and this type of agreement is authorized by ORC Section 117 or 172401. All contracts come before council legislation are either drafted or reviewed by me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about any contracts that come to you in legislation. First of all, I wasn't aware that we had done anything with the CIC in the past. What were those? Do we know? What we've worked with the CIC for the city?
Yeah, that was about, what, 8, 9 years ago?
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's long enough that I certainly wouldn't remember it. And then I did ask a question about adding the City of London as an additional insured, because it says in that agreement that the lessee, being the CIC or Madison County Futures, is required to purchase commercial liability insurance, and I asked her a question about that. She didn't think that that was necessary, but if I had additional questions, to get back with her, and I do have an additional question, so I will get back with her. That was 216. I apologize for not bringing that up before. 217. I also asked about that on my question on 217. Was there language, there's language in there that says that we may have to pay no more than 3 times the amount of previous payments. Can you explain how this comes into play? Which pretty much just reads back the section 2 about sinking fund redemption. No, I'm sorry, let me read it. Section 2 are the regulations of the bond insurer. Section 2 spells out how the bonds must be issued, and the sinking fund redemption is related to the funds the issuer keeps in an annual reserve and must make periodic deposits to pay the cost of bonds. That section is regulating how the bond insurer will provide the city with bonds. My second question there was the issue of vacancy in the position of city council clerk midterm. I asked about, we don't have a clerk, nor at this point do we have the council member, and she said the issue of vacancy in the position of city council clerk midterm is not specifically addressed in the ORC, London ordinance, or council rules. It would be an option for council to appoint a temporary or acting clerk to fill in until that time that the position is filled. So that was her answer for 217, the questions that I had asked at the last meeting. I just wanted to share those updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have any further questions on 217? Oh, yes. Thank you.
I just have a question about the company that was chosen to do the building, the rec building. Is there a reason it's not being bid out?
I think that's a direct question for the mayor or for the safety service director.
So when you do the contract with the CIC, this has been done multiple times. This is how they built the buildings out at the fairgrounds. You do it so you can speed up the timeline, which is a main concern for us, is to get it going and get it in. So the architect we were working with, along with the CIC, that's who we came up with.
So if we bid it out, we couldn't get a better deal or a better rate or a better final?
I do not believe so.
Okay, but it was never looked into. I'm just asking.
That's the question.
Okay.
So,
Yes, Mr. Eads?
and we can address this because I think there's people that have asked the question of me, and Andrea has not yet, but she just did. Going through the CIC, which is a private corporation, If they're going to build it, the city does not then have the responsibility, I don't think, to have to go through and bid the process. It circumvents the process, quite honestly, but it's a legal way to do it, I think.
Yeah, according to what you said earlier, speaking with the law director, she said that it is a process that is legitimate and can happen, but like you said, it actually does circumvent the process of putting it out to bid.
If that's what you chose to do, if you wanted competitive bids, then that's still, you could go that route, I think. Or you can go this route and you don't necessarily have to put that out for bid. And whether or not we agree that they've chose the best one, we don't know. Unless you do research and find a better company that does it cheaper. I've looked up a couple, but I just was curious about prices comparatively speaking, so I was just curious.
So by going with the CIC, that circumvents even like a levy process of having the people vote for, to build that?
Well, I don't know that that would have to circumvent the levy process if you didn't want to, if you wanted to put it out there
I was asking.
and do that, but I don't
You
know
don't know?
that for sure.
Okay. All right. Any further questions to 1722? Yes, if you, and please just state your name and address, because I don't think you've been up yet. Thank you.
My name's Nick Markley. I live at 101 North Oak. My first question is, what is the CIC?
So the CIC is like a term that many communities use. Ours is called the Madison County Future Inc., so it's a Community Improvement Corporation.
Okay. Is that like a private group of members, or what is that?
It's made up of a board of, so on the board is myself, the mayor of West Jeff, the mayor of Plain City. It's a public-private.
It's about Madison County?
Yes.
In a way?
Yeah, Madison County Future Inc., yes.
Okay. Now, my other question is, why would you not want to bid it out? Why would you not want to bid it out to as many builders or developers as you could to let them compete against each other for a better price? Now, I just listening to, I didn't plan to talk, but I'm just curious as to why. Maybe there's a government reason, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm not saying I don't know.
No, it's the speed, so we can get it going.
But with that speed, it may cost the city of London more, or it may cost less. We don't know, but we won't know because we won't bid it out. Is that correct?
Well, you can get estimates.
Right.
Right? You don't have to bid it out to get estimates on what something like that would cost, right? It's not a.
But the
And-
Madison County Future, they then have maybe some partners that they work with. Is that how that works? A builder or developer?
No, so we're able to pick the person. Another thing it does is you don't have to pay prevailing wage, which really cuts down on the cost. I mean, if anybody knows anything about prevailing wage, it's very expensive.
Sure.
So so you get a cost reduction there, and then we get the speed
Okay.
to not have to take it out to bid.
Okay. So the last thing I want to ask is, are you certain that it wouldn't be cheaper if we bid it out? And I'm not saying a couple $100, you know what I mean? I'm saying.
I believe that, no, it would not.
Okay.
I believe it would be more, especially because of the prevailing wage.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And you did say we could not bid that out, but we can get an estimate. Have we gotten any estimates?
Yeah, that's, our initial estimate came from our engineer himself, just estimating. But those estimates are very detailed. I mean, as you can see from the books I gave you guys of what all goes into it on their side of pricing everything.
Yes.
So did you get, I'm going to interrupt, Mayor, did you get more than one?
You can have their mic on.
Itself. We
Thank
had
you.
another company come in and gave us an estimate on the building itself, and his price was less than what we had initially gotten. But this guy was just selling the building. He wasn't going to, the materials for the building. He was a steel builder.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna build it, he was just gonna ship us the building. I don't know how to put them together.
Yeah, and I guess the best way to put it is this company was highly recommended as being able to get the job done in an economical fashion and do somebody that's local within the county. We did check with another company that was even closer, and they said that they couldn't do something that big. So we had checked like 2 or 3 places.
Yes.
The packet I brought from Prairie Township when they did their community center, I know I emailed it to several people. In it, they put it out to bid, and they saved themselves $150,000. Now, in spending $15 million, that might not be much, but here, it might be a lot.
I agree. Now, are there any plans to possibly put that out for bid, or is this the final? You said you think that if we put it out for bid, that it would definitely be more?
It's my belief it would be more, especially because of the prevailing wage.
All right. Any further questions on this legislation?
I got a question.
Yes.
I hate to be formal, Andrea. The bid from Prairie Township saved them $150,000, correct? Do you know how long ago that was?
Well, when they did theirs, I don't know, I gave that back to several people at the council. I don't think it was like 7 years ago. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I would be
Okay.
lying to you if I gave you a date.
Okay. I was thinking it was,
Trustee over there, not president.
I was thinking it was 2016, but it's close. Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, on to ordinance 21822, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved. Second.
All right, ordinance 21822, sponsored by Josh Peters, an ordinance authorizing elected officials and appointed officials' wage adjustments.
Yeah, this would be a 12% increase of wages for all elected officials and appointed officials commencing January 1, 2024.
Mr. President,
Yes.
so this was another thing I did check with the law director on. Yep. My question, does this ordinance replace another ordinance? I can't find this anywhere in our ordinance book, right? If we have anything that says, these are the salaries and these are the duties and job descriptions, I can't find it. So I asked her about that. You found it?
Yeah. 16817.
16817 was the ordinance that authorized these as full-time positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I don't know why it wouldn't be in our book where I could find it, and if there would be a history of things. So yeah, I have the 16817. That was for the, very specifically, the city auditor and mayor were increased to a full-time position. It shows the salaries. And for the law director, that was actually October 8th of 2007, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, but I can't find those in the book. That's why I was curious. So thank you. She sent those to me, and I'm glad you have them too. So I asked that question, and let me see. I said I would also like to see the job description or list of responsibilities for each office, and if it indicates that these are full-time positions, which this does, any guidance here would be appreciated. So she did send the 2 ordinances that Councilman Peters has, and she sent those copies to me also, which I just read part of those. Specifically, she broke down her job responsibilities, but she then referred me to Ohio Revised Code, Section 733. It says it only spells out the baseline requirements for a mayor, law director, and auditor. The base that is found in the RC is only a portion of what each of these positions entail in the City of London. Council made the positions of mayor and auditor full-time by that resolution, and the law director by the other in 07. In addition, I can provide information for day-to-day duties for herself, and then she felt that Kenna and Pat would be in a better position to spell out their day-to-day duties in their respective positions. So I just wanted to let you know that I did get a response on that, and those were what I got.
Okay, thank you. And I think also with this ordinance, one thing that we should keep in mind is that we're not looking at these titles attached to a specific name. We should be looking at these titles as a specific position that someone is holding within the city. Because, you know, we have an election coming this next year, so who knows whose name will be attached to these different titles that are on here. You know, you think, oh, let's, you know, increase such and such a person's pay. You know, there is no guarantee that that person is going to be the person that is in there if this goes into effect, if it's approved. So, you know, one thing I would do, I would definitely encourage, you know, the community to get even more involved. And, you know, once everything is opened up at the Board of Elections, go down, take out a petition, and become even more close part of the local city government. This is here for everyone. It's not here specifically for, you know, the same people over and over. I do encourage people to truly get involved. If you want to, and that was one of the reasons I got involved originally, is, you know, I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't want to be one of the people that just, you know, complain. I said, you know, what can I do to make a difference? And I knew that what I could do is to become a part of it. So I do encourage people to please become a part of the local government. I know I hear lots of Facebook talk and things like that, but if you really, truly want to make a change in your own community, go to the Board of Elections, get a petition, and run for some of these key positions in the city so that you can be a major part of the decision-making and listening to the community to make sure that the community is being heard when all of these decisions are being made. So I encourage people, new faces, new people, come on. Let's go on out and get your petitions, all right? And that brings us down to roundtable. We'll begin with Mr. Stahl.
Thanks for everyone for coming out. It's nice to hear different views. All the years I've been on, a lot of times we sat, like Anita said, through meetings, there's nobody except the council members. So it's nice people take advantage and voice their opinions. And as somebody always said, no matter what our opinions are, let's all leave as friends. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hitt?
I'd like to thank everyone who's here showing an interest in the city and those that came up and spoke and did some research. I appreciate you bringing that to council just for discussion. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hayes?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Some good information passed back and forth. I'd like to thank all city employees for jobs well done. Ms. Likens, I think, I'm not real sure, so don't take this to the bank, but I'll check tomorrow. At the funeral home, I think I've got, may have a couple hundred pairs of glasses that people don't want their relatives buried with. And I'm not, I know we had a bunch of them, and I don't know if they're still there, but I've got a funeral tomorrow, and I'll check on it. I'll get with you, let you know. I just pray that the Lord watch over our city, keep it safe, keep our people safe, protect our law enforcement officers, our first responders, keep them safe. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate the city of London. God bless.
All right, thank you. Mr. Robinson?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. It's good to hear different perspectives. Even though I'm so passionate about the gym being built, I've been volunteering at that gym since I was in high school. So 20-plus years of volunteering down at that gym and understanding when you're out in public and you see those kids that you've taught and they come up to you and they talk to you and say, hey, coach, blah, blah, or hey, Mr. Robinson. It's a good feeling. So those are the important things that I stress about and why I'm so passionate about that gym being built. I understand that there is the opposite side of things, that we do have to take care of things, but like I said last time, just because my neighbor needs something, I should always support my neighbor, and we need to take care of everything around that, our neighborhood. So this is a community, we all need to take care of our community. Also, I want to thank Angie at Fat Daddy's for her Thanksgiving drive. She handed out 1,269 meals. It is an awesome program she runs down there. And if anybody around that time can donate, and maybe we can touch more families. I know my grandparents who live outside of West Jeff even got meals. They delivered them. I mean, it's just great to see that. I know we always talk about the negatives, but there's a lot of great things that go on in this city. Sean Saboski, he's back from Houston. He met with his boys on the basketball court yesterday, and that's another great thing that I see. I know we talk about the negatives, and I'm not going to press on them, but there are so many great things that go on there. There's so many great people in this community, and we can all get it done. I know we have different perspectives, but we can find middle ground to come together. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Mr. Peters?
I have nothing tonight.
All right, Mr. Eads?
I do want to address a couple things. I didn't address them earlier with the mayor or that conversation. The timeline was brought up, and the mayor admitted earlier, and I'm glad the conversation went the way it did, that was brought forth by the administration. That was, the initial building was brought to us at the finance meeting, I believe, in
It was a
January.
public service as
Was
well.
it public service?
Because we also addressed fixing up the gym and the cost of the gym as well, of the
Okay.
existing gym. And then we talked about tearing it down or keeping it and what the cost would be to keep that gym or build another one. So all those were talked about. The public service. I know I was part of it.
In January?
Yeah, it was
or-
right
or-
about the same time when they would have gone to finance.
Or
Because they would
later?
have to bring it up to us for the building part of it and then go to finance for the financing of the building, so.
Well, the grant, so that happened, they brought that up, it was part of the initial levy. The grant came up, it was applied for, and yes, this council has accepted it. And I understand where everybody's coming from, that why would we tear down this building if you're not going to rebuild another one? I understand that, but there were no promises made. There was never a promise made that we were going to build another building. Quite honestly, and I haven't said this yet, and I probably shouldn't say it now, but the video that was shared by Mr. Norman when he went in, that he had to sign a waiver to go in that building, to take that video, and the condition of that building should probably be condemned, right? And we, as a council, or we, the administration, has decided to let those kids in that building. Now, that might be the argument why we need a new building. I'm just saying that the building probably needs to be torn down regardless of whether or not we have a facility to put them in if the building's in that bad a shape. Why do we allow people in that building if it's truly in that bad a shape? I personally think that when this all came up, in January and throughout this process with one election, then a second, and then all the discussions went on, I personally think the hand got overplayed. And we are now being asked to fix that when that hand was overplayed. And I haven't changed my mind about the building. I still think it probably needs to come down, and I still think the fire department needs to be funded before I would move forward with that building. But then I got to thinking about this. $200,000 or more. What could $200,000 or more do, right? It could fund, because we heard from the mayor last time that this was about the quality of life here. I think that's kind of how he phrased it. $200,000, what could that do? It could start a sidewalk program that we could, as the city, could help fund and help people get things fixed. That's going to improve the quality of life if the people in the city can walk along their sidewalks without tripping. There's other things that can be done with $200,000. And I understand that's a drop in the bucket, I said it last time. The other thing that came up that the mayor stressed upon everybody here, and I'm glad two of the councilmen went over there and talked to them. I've talked to other people, but he stressed you should need to talk to your constituents. Well, great. Mr. Norman brought up the fact that, he'd like to see, just go back on the ballot just to see what the feelings are, and we can't really do that. But why can't we as a council fund some type of a community involvement questionnaire? I contacted a company called Spencer and Associates there in Grandview. This is not their specialty, I'll tell you that right now. They gave me some other options of companies that we could look at. But why don't we generate a questionnaire? Why don't we pause? Get the actual answers to questions, and not just about this gym. There's too many things that go on. I can't ever remember getting a questionnaire like that. I can't ever remember where, my thought would be, they would send it out to the 4,248 residences or whatever we have in the city. Give people an opportunity without going to the ballot box, because we don't know what they're saying when they go to the ballot box. But we could do something as a council, even if it cost $15,000, whatever it costs. At least then, at that point, we can get questions from our constituents truly about what they think is important to them. Is it the fire? Is it the police? Is it our water? Is it the rec center? What can we do better? What do we do well now? Why don't we consider moving, or at least looking into that before we make the decision to not go? We're not going $3 million in debt, guys. We're going $6 million in debt. Because you take $200,000 times 30 years, and that's $6 million. The building's going to cost $3 million, but it's going to end up costing us $6 million in the long run. Before we make that decision, why don't we try to make sure that that decision's truly what people want and not just what we want or a small group of people want? Let's find out what people want. I would really be in favor of that. And I at least want you guys to consider the thought that maybe we could do something like that in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank everyone for your comments. Definitely thank everyone for coming out to our council meeting tonight. Thank you for Mrs. Dillion. Thank you. Mr. Norman, thank you. Of course, Anita Likens, and everyone else, Tommy Boyd, everyone. Thank you so much for participating in our council meetings and also keeping your ear to the community, because you are a voice for a lot of the people in the community that can't make it here as well. It's really good to see everyone getting involved, and I do encourage, again, I encourage people to get even more involved, get your petitions, and become an even closer part of your city government to make the decisions based on what your community is asking of you, and not, to go on your own agendas or anything like that. What's that? It's due in about February. There's deadlines, but that's okay. Deadlines, they're fine. You can, if you're really dedicated to it, the deadlines will be no big deal at all. So I do encourage you to get involved, and it will be well worth it for you. So if nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.